Hey, what's up, folks? In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Anand Files. Hard to get it in focus, but there you go. This is a book by a guy named Michiel Abeln. Totally, probably mispronouncing his name. He's a FIDE master. Really good book. I'm probably not going to be a super long review because I just really enjoyed the book. I don't have a lot to criticize about it. Basically, this book details what it was like to be a part of Anand's team during the three World Championship matches that he won from 2008 to 2012. So he defeated Kramnik in Germany in 2008, then he defeated Topalov, I think 2010 in Bulgaria, and then he also defended his title against Gelfand in a really hotly contested match in 2012. So this book just kind of goes behind the scenes, what it was like to be a member of Anand's team. I believe the author interviewed Anand and a bunch of his seconds as to just like what it was like to prepare for these matches, go through the matches. Every single one of the matches, was incredibly interesting, very, very hard fought. And it was really interesting to see what Anand's team was like during these matches, how they prepared their openings, how they dealt with issues in the opening. They would prepare lines for hours and hours, and then they would, discover something at 4 a.m. and then they would have to fix it. And really kind of puts you in the center of these matches, and just gives you a feeling for how stressful it was to be a part of it. And honestly, I really enjoy this kind of book that gives you like a behind the scenes look. The previous one that I read that was very, very similar is this book called From London to Elista by Grandmaster Yevgeny Bareyev. I don't know, I had it somewhere, I don't know where it is right now, but I remember really enjoying that book. And that book, the Bareyev book, detailed the three matches that Kramnik won for the World Championship. His first one against Kasparov, and then how he defended the title first against Leko in 2004, and then against Topalov. And that book also went into heavy detail, what it was like to be a second for Kramnik. That one actually, written by one of Kramnik's seconds, Grandmaster Bareyev, and all of the stresses and adventures of what it's like to prepare and live through, three separate world championship matches. So long story short, like super cool book. I honestly couldn't put it down. I would just read it every night. And it actually goes through every single game one by one and discusses, what they prepared for the game, what they were expecting, what their, surprises were, what their novelties were. What was the surprise, from the opponent? Where was Anand, kind of caught out of his book and had to kind of like improvise on his own. And it analyzes all the games as well, one by one, and goes through the details. And also shows, which I thought was really cool, that I don't think the book on Kramnik did this, but also shows some of the fruits of the labor of Team Anand. So Anand's seconds were Grandmaster Peter Heine Nielsen, as well as Rustam Kazimzadov, and he was working with Surya Ganguly and Radek Wotashek as well. And this was kind of his core team that would like work on all of his openings. And it also shows like how the team used, some of their work in later matches or in later games and tournaments, I should say, where they were able to utilize some of the prep that never saw the light of day during the match. So I thought that was kind of a cool detail. And of course, that includes Anand's, brilliant game against Aronian in Waikanze 2013. If you haven't seen that game, I'm sure you can Google it and find a bunch of videos on it. Basically, like Anand's, immortal victory, which apparently came as a result of his work, on the Semislav Moran variation that he basically prepared for like all three matches. So personally, I really like these kinds of books that show you, what it's like to be a top chess player and what that kind of feels like, and some of the trials and tribulations that they go through. These matches were definitely not easy for Anand. I remember following the Gelfand match in 2012, and honestly, as a spectator, it really wasn't the most interesting match. There was like a lot of short draws where it seemed like, Black was just out preparing White and just equalizing from the opening, and the game was dead. But kind of seeing, what the struggle was and how well Gelfand was prepared and how well Gelfand's team did really gave me like a bigger appreciation of how difficult that match was for Anand. The one thing I will say is that this book is probably not the best for people that are just strictly focused like on chess improvement. Like the games are annotated, but I wouldn't say they have like the most instructive annotations. The book is definitely not going to teach you, how to play like Anand. This is more of a book for people that are interested in chess culture and chess history, and they want to know what the players are like, when they're not just at the board. For people that are interested in like chess psychology and opening preparation. I would say if you play any of the openings featured in the matches, there's a lot of like Slavs and semi-Slavs, a few Nimzo-Indians, some Grunfelds. Of course, the Sveshnikov was discussed heavily in the Gelfand match. If you play some of these openings, then I think the games could be like really instructive for you, especially, some of the behind the scenes prep and what the preparation was like and some of the lines they were considering, then I think, yeah, the games can be really, really useful. But this is not a book I would, let's say recommend to like a student that's trying to like improve their game. It's definitely not the most instructive chess book, but if you're just interested in like the story of these World Championship matches, I think it's really well written. And there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't expect the players to admit, but it seems like the seconds and Anand were very, very open about their experience and their emotions during the match. You hear about their quibbles and, their excitement, their joy, what went right, what went wrong, what kind of food they enjoyed, what kind of things they were trying to avoid and what they were worried about during the match. And ultimately, I just really enjoyed it. I think these kinds of books are really, really interesting, and I wish there was more of them. But of course, it's hard because you don't want to give away, too many prep secrets. So I'm really glad this book exists. I would say if you're interested in stories and what it's like to be in a World Championship match and what it's like to, to do the preparation and all that stuff, I would say definitely worth checking out this book. Also, I heard the author on Perpetual Chess, and I believe he mentioned that like the proceeds from the book are just going straight to charity, which I think is really cool and noble. So I just wanted to mention that. All right, that's going to be it for this book review. If you have any questions on the book, feel free to leave a comment below. And I'll answer whatever I can. But yeah, ultimately, I definitely recommend it. I think it's an excellent book. Not the best book for like chess improvement. Again, it's not going to like, teach you how to be a better player, but it will kind of inspire you, I think, to work on the game and really, take the game a lot more seriously. So it certainly can have some benefit, but it's not going to like, directly improve your chess or anything like that. But ultimately, super, super interesting book. I very much enjoyed reading it. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it if that's something you're interested in. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Appreciate sub to the channel if you haven't already, and thumbs up to the video if you want to see more book reviews in the future. I have quite a few books that I'm still going to be reviewing, hopefully sometime soon. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.